So we're going to title the top of your next page, whatever that page happens to be, logs. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about what is a log. So we learned last week about something called inverses. And we said something is an inverse if it's 1-to-1. So it was 1-to-1 if nothing repeated, right? So what is the inverse of an x squared function? Square root function. What is the inverse of a cube function? Cube root function. Okay, a little bit harder. What is the inverse of a tangent function? Starts with C. Cotangent. Nice job. Okay, so if it's a 1-to-1 function, it's going to have an inverse. Exponential functions that we did Monday and Tuesday are 1-to-1 functions, so they have inverses. Guess what their inverses are called? Logs. So that's why we have to study this. So we're going to go write down a log function is the inverse of an exponential function. So the reason we're having to study the log functions is because they're inverses of your exponential function. And we know if it's an inverse of a function, that what do we do to our x's and y's? We flip them. Okay, so this is what a log function looks like. It's going to always start off with the word log. The base is going to be a little subscript. So it's a little bitty down here. This is called log base A of x equals the y. And it's going to equal log base A of x equals y if the original function was a to the y equals x. Do you see how the x's and y's flipped? Because they're what to each other? They're inverses. So today, all we're going to do, it's real simple. We're going to change things from logs to exponentials and from exponentials to logs. And all you have to do is keep the same base. So you're going to keep the same what? And you're going to flip the x's and the what? In your Algebra 2 class, you might have learned of something called a log roll. Y'all remember something called the log roll? Okay, if you don't, that's fine. I'll teach you something new. So the log roll says that you start with your base. So put your pencil right here on your base A. And we're going to roll to the right. So if I roll to the right, what do I hit next? The y. What do I pass over? The equal. And then what do I hit at the end? The x. That's where I get the base of A. I rolled to the y, passed over the equal, and then it equaled the x. So if you log roll, you'll never miss a problem. So we're going to do 2 quick examples. They're not hard at all. So example 1. If I give you log base 3 of, give me a letter. H equals, give me another letter. B. We're going to rewrite this as an exponential function. So to rewrite it as an exponential function, you start with your base. What is my base? 3. And we're going to roll to the right. So if I start with my base of 3, give me 3. I rolled to the right. What did I hit next? Raised to the B. I passed over the equals, and what does it equal? And you're done. You just went from log to exponential. It really is that easy. There's no tricks. And everybody today is like, it's going to get harder. No, it's not. All right, another example, just so we can see another one. Example number 2. Log base 3 of 81 equals 4. And all I want you to do is change it to an exponential. So I'm going to give you a second to try it. What's my base going to be? What's my base going to be? 3. I'm going to raise it to what power? And it's going to equal what number? 81. So let's look at the roll again in case you missed it. You start at the 3, you roll to the right, I hit 4, passed over the equals, and I hit an 81. And it goes in that order. What questions do you have? All right, side note before we start continuing our notes. Yesterday, I had y'all write down something called Euler's number. You may or may not remember that. It looks like this. And I said that there was a mathematician a long time ago that had way too much time on his hands. And he started plugging into this formula. And he plugged into this formula right here. And he plugged in 1, and then he plugged in 2, and then he plugged in 3, and then 4, and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And every time he plugged in numbers, he kept getting numbers really close to this. And y'all just know this as E. So E is approximately 2.718. And we wrote this yesterday. But E is a special exponential because I have a variable that's an exponential. If it's an exponential, will it have an inverse? Say yes. Yeah. Because it's a special exponential, it has a special inverse. All right, so that's what we're going to go write down in our booklets. So the special exponential of E has an inverse, and it's called the natural log. All right, here we go. Wherever you need to do. I just need to go to the next page because I wrote big. All right, so the inverse of E is called the natural log. And the natural log has an abbreviation. Does anybody remember the abbreviation for natural log? It's called LN. It's a button that you can find on your calculator. We're not going to touch that button today. We're not going to touch our calculator until after the test. So when I ask you to change things from exponential to log and log and exponential, you have to pay attention. If the letter E is in there, then you're not going to use log, you're going to use what instead? LN. If there's not an E in there, then you're going to use log. Okay? All right, the last thing we have to talk about is two little formulas. And we're going to learn how to quickly solve a log equation. So if you have the formula log of x equals y, and I said change this to an exponential, what's missing? The base. Anytime you don't have a base written here, who remembers what your base is? Not E. It's 10. Let's say it again. If the base is not written, what is it understood to be? 10. So now, if I said go rewrite this as exponential, 10 to the what? Log roll. 10 to the y equals x. If they don't write a base, then what do you have to know is there? 10. Okay? It's going to work for this too. That was formula 1. Here's the next one. ln of x equals y. This also has a base that they didn't write down. What do you think the base is for this one?
10.
Nope, it's what you said earlier. E, because it's an ln. So when they don't write a base for the ln, our base is what? So it's e to the y equals x. So what we're going to do today is we're going to solve log equations by changing them to exponentials. Super easy. Because yesterday was easy, today is also easy. So I think we're on example 3. All right, so example 3. We're going to solve for x. Log base 3 of 4x minus 7 equals 2. If you can change it to an exponential, that's what you need to go do. So what's my base in this problem? 3. So I'm going to have a base of 3. I'm going to raise it to what power? Log roll to 2. And it's going to equal 4x minus 7. Now, question. Is this equation that I just wrote an exponential equation? No. Very good. Because I don't have an x up here. I have a 2. So can I just do it?
Yeah.
Yes. What's 3 squared? 9. And now we're back in Algebra 1 land. How do you solve that? Plus 7. So I get 16. And then what do I do? So what does x equal? And you're done. That's it. It really is that easy. All right, one more example. Again, you're not writing as big as me, so you're probably not having to change the page. I'm writing big because of the hover cam. All right, number 4. So on number 4, we've got e to the 2x equals 5. E to the 2x equals 5. Is this the log equation?
No.
Is it an exponential equation?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. When you have exponential equations, I want to get like bases. My base right here is an e. Is there any way to change this into an e? No. So this is special. If you can't get like bases, you either need to log or you need to ln it. Because it's an e, I'm going to change it to a what? ln. Very good. So here we go. I'm going to have ln. And what is my base right here in the problem? E. What do I have to do to these two? Flip them. Equals 2x. Now question. Because it's an ln function, do I really have to write this e down here? Nope. So I have ln of 5 equals 2x. That says 2 times x. So how do you undo it? Divide by 2. So x equals the ln of 5 divided by 2. And you just leave it just like that. Because I haven't given you a calculator yet. That's it. You leave it alone. You don't have to put it there because remember, if you don't write an ln, if you write an ln, we already know there's an e there. You can write it, but it's kind of like if you had x to the first, do you ever write the 1 up top? No, it's just understood. Okay, anybody else have a question? All right, slide your notes away and have out the worksheet that I gave you.